Hi, this is going to be ever such a short video. I wanted to talk about the weather. um, what did they say in, is it Jane Austen that said, if you can't think of anything lovely to say, restrict your remarks to the weather? Well, anyway, that's not quite what's prompting this video, but at the moment there is the most beautiful tropical storm going on, and I live in a cloud forest ecosystem, which, if you've never experienced anything like that, a cloud forest ecosystem is almost like you're living in the clouds and you're living in the forest all the time, hence cloud forest ecosystem. So at the moment, I'm sitting outside now. We've got power cuts that are going on and off constantly. So I just came home from the shops and the lights are going on and off. And I think somebody commented on one of my previous videos actually, and they said there's a sort of Mary Shea quality to some of these videos. Well, I can't do anything about the weather, but I'm very lucky in that where I live, I'm surrounded by mountains which divide El Retiro from La Ceja, two villages in East Antioquia. And I'm not really looking at the camera, but as I look sort of beyond my computer right now, the mountains literally disappear into a sort of grey-white haze, and the mountains sort of come and go depending on how the weather is. And I find that extraordinarily beautiful. And I guess what I wanted to say was that sometimes when I find living in Colombia difficult for whatever reason, the one thing that always keeps me going in an incredible way is the weather. And English people tend to think that, oh, if it's sunny all the time, that's good weather. Whereas I have to say that's not really my experience. And where I live, it's actually quite cold. And little anecdote, the night before I emigrated to Colombia, so I had actually already been to Colombia a few times before I emigrated, but the night before I emigrated, I threw away all of my jumpers because it was sort of midnight and I had a flight at 5 a.m. or something, and I realised I just didn't have any more space left in my cases. So, okay, what can I really do without? So I threw away all my jumpers. In particular, a very nice purple jumper I had, which is my particular regret. But I regret throwing away all my jumpers because often it's very cold in Colombia, depending on what part you're in. And where I live, it's kind of cool, is how I would describe the climate. It can be very hot, but for the most part, it's sort of fresh and slightly humid. And yes, it can get very cold. And I actually have a chimney, which I use probably 3 or 4 times a week. Log burning thing, I couldn't cope without that. It's very cold, and in England we have radiators, whereas here there's no real need for that. I mean, maybe there are radiators in Bogota, I don't know, perhaps people that live in Bogota can tell me, but I've never seen any. So I've never felt the need for a radiator, but it can get quite chilly, and I just love listening to the rain. Whenever I feel, I don't know, like, I wouldn't say despair, but if I ever feel sort of troubled, as soon as the rain starts, I feel kind of protected by the climate here, by the rain, by the weather. And one of the first things I noticed actually when I flew into Bogota for my first trip with the mists, I thought, what is this? What is this strange thing? Because in England we have the concept of fog, which doesn't happen very often, but it's a kind of grey, dense, kind of air, which tends to happen in the morning or late evening. But here, mist is something quite different. It's more sort of ethereal, I want to say, and it comes and goes so quickly, and that's quite strange. I mean, there's something very peculiar about the way in Colombia things come and go, and then come back again. But yeah, I feel very lucky to always have sort of rain and clouds, and you always need a sort of jumper and a bikini in your car or your, bag, or whatever your form of transportation is, because you just never know what's going to happen. And yeah, I just wanted to sort of share how how really beautiful the weather is here, and how it's not just the heat, which is what particularly English people tend to associate with Colombia, because it can get very cold here. It's the extremities of it. You know, when it rains, and when it's hot, it's really hot, and when it's humid, it's suffocating, and when it's dry, it's, you know, floors you. I remember I once went to an Easter parade in Santa Fe, Antioquia. I think for me, one of the most glorious things in Colombia is to go to one of the old Easter parades in some of the old colonial towns, because they tend to be the most beautiful. And I fainted, and I'm not sure whether, I mean, I think it was partly the heat of Santa Fe, Antioquia in the afternoon, but I think it was also just overwhelmed by these processions of the Virgin and all the villagers, you know, absolutely enraptured, and I just fainted, and I felt like such a sort of 18th century idiot. Anyway, there you are. I don't know, sometimes even fainting is quite a beautiful experience, particularly in Colombia. So I don't know. At the moment, I kind of feeling a little bit lost in Colombia. That said, there are so many places that I still want to go to here, and I think I'm actually planning a trip at the moment to somewhere very special. So I hope that if I get to go there in a couple of weeks' time, I'll be able to talk to you from there. That would be quite special. And I wish you all well, and I hope the weather's interesting and nice wherever you are. I'm going to leave it there. Bye bye.